Hello again and welcome to class number 497. Okay, are you ready? Paragraph number 37. For our paragraph book, los párrafos de siempre, as you know, paragraphs. And so let's do paragraph number 37, and it's not easy. As you get older, you'll realize how foolish you've been today. You may think you've made a point, but you've done nothing more than make a fool of yourself. It takes a lot of courage to face up to the fact. It takes a lot of courage to face up to the fact. It takes a lot of courage to face up to the fact. As you get older, you'll realize how foolish you've been today. As you get older, you'll realize how foolish you've been today. As you get older, you'll realize how foolish you've been today. You may think you've made a point, but you've done nothing more than make a fool of yourself. It takes a lot of courage to face up to the fact. Dificilísimo esto. All right. As you get older, conforme te hagas más mayor, así, a medida que te hagas más mayor, ya verás. As you get older, dos letritas, as, as you get older, as I get older, me doy cuenta de cosas. As I get older, maybe I get wiser. A lo mejor me hago más sabio. Who knows? As I get older, and as you get older, you'll realize, as you get older, you'll realize how foolish you've been today. Foolish se traduce en el diccionario como tonto. Foolish. Es poco acertado y poco prudente. Okay? Foolish. Has metido la pata. That's foolish. Don't be so foolish. As you get older, you'll realize how foolish you've been today. How foolish you have been today. Hoy has metido la pata a fondo. Te das cuenta, conforme vas avanzando en años, recordarás, te das cuenta lo mucho que has metido la pata hoy. How foolish you have been. How foolish, cuán tonto. As you get older, look, the adjective foolish doesn't mean stupid. Stupid is tonto, de pocas luces. Foolish is algo imprudente que haces, o que no has pensado bien. All right? Don't be a fool. No seas tonto, no te dejes engañar de una forma tan clara. Un fool es una persona fácil de engañar. Y hay gente inteligente, hay doctorados, gente con doctorado que un listillo le puede engañar. And you say, don't be foolish, señor Einstein, no sea usted, no sea tonto. Mr. Einstein, don't be so foolish. Don't be a fool. De hecho, engañar es to fool. To fool. Abraham Lincoln, the American president, Abraham Lincoln said, you can fool some of the people all the time, and you can fool all the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. Have you ever heard that? ¿Conoce la expresión, Marta? Puedes engañar a algunos todo el tiempo y puedes engañar a todos en algún momento, pero no puedes engañar a todos siempre. All right. You can fool some people some of the time. All of the time, perdona. And you can fool all the people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time. So, to fool. Now, to be foolish. So, as you get older, you'll realize how foolish you've been today. You may think you've made a point, but you've done nothing more than make a fool of yourself. Otra vez con fool. You may think you've made a point. Puede que pienses que has hecho un punto, que significa eso, has marcado un punto, que has hecho algo, has incidido con eficacia en algo. To make a point. To make my point means para demostrar mi punto de vista o mi argumento. para que mi argumento ya cale, is to make my point. All right? It's necessary to improve your ear. Your ear is number one. Have I made my point? ¿Ha quedado claro? Have I made? ¿He hecho mi punto? Literalmente. ¿Eh? Have I made my point? Ear first, voice second. Is it clear? Have I made my point? Good. All right. All right. Pero aquí es, no. He says, you may think, puede que pienses que, yes, you may think you've made your point, or made a point, but you've done nothing more than make a fool of yourself. De hacer el tonto. El ridículo, hacer el ridículo. You've done nothing more than make a fool of yourself. You may think you've made a point. Yeah, but you've done nothing more. You have done. Has hecho nada más. No has hecho nada más, se dice en español. Porque en español se admite, bueno, no es que se admita, es que hay doble negación. No tengo nada. In English, impossible. I don't have nothing es doble negación. Significa que sí tengo algo. Nada no tengo. O sea, algo sí. So, en esos, no, pensarás, yes, you may think, pensarás que you may think you've made a point, but you've done nothing more than make a fool of yourself. It takes a lot of courage to face up to the fact. It takes a lot of courage. It takes, ello toma, ello lleva, ¿qué significa eso? It takes es, hace falta, es necesario, hace falta. Mucho valor o valentía. Coraje, te dice, courage. Claro, en Spanish, coraje también puede ser enfado, ¿a que sí? En English, pero coraje también es valentía, valor. Okay. En English, courage, coraje, escrito, pronunciado courage, courage, idge, courage, courageous, courage, valeroso, valiente, courage. It takes a lot of courage to face up to the fact, encarar el hecho, hacer frente al hecho, la realidad y darte cuenta que me he metido la pata, pero bien. Hace falta mucho valor para admitir y aceptar, bueno, me he equivocado. All right. It takes a lot of courage to face up to the fact. To face up to the fact. Face up to it. You made a mistake. Yes. You may think you've made a point, but you've done nothing more than make a fool of yourself. Yes. It takes a lot of courage. Hace falta mucho valor para encarar este hecho, para encararse ante ese hecho. It takes a lot of courage to face up to the fact. As you get older, ahora no te das cuenta, pero conforme te hagas más mayor. As you get older, you'll realize how foolish you have been today. You may think you've made a point, yeah, but you've only, como dice aquí, you've done nothing more than make a fool of yourself. Hacer el ridículo. Decimos hacer un tonto de ti mismo. To make a fool of yourself. To make a fool of myself. Oh, he metido la pata. Tierra trágame. I made a fool of myself. I have made a fool of... Am I making a fool of myself now in front of the television camera? Am I making a fool of myself, Marta? No? No estoy haciendo ridículo aquí. Yeah? All right. Am I making a fool of myself? I hope not. But in any case, some people take moments of this class and show it. You know, the moment when I'm saying, when I get angry, because I'm an actor. To teach English well, sometimes you need to be an actor. All right? And so sometimes people take una toma, and they put it on the internet. Richard Vaughan angry. Oh, okay. So sometimes I make a fool of myself. Y aquí, as you get older, you'll realize how foolish you've been. You may think you've made a point, but you've done nothing more than make a fool of yourself. It takes a lot of courage to face up to the fact. To face up to the fact. to face up to the fact. It takes a lot of courage. So as you get older, my friend, as you get older, you'll realize how foolish you've been today. Presente perfecto porque estoy hablando de hoy, pero de tiempo aún vigente. Puedo volver a hacer el ridículo otra vez esta noche, antes de finalizar el día. You've made a fool of yourself today. You'll realize as you get older that you've made a fool of yourself today. You may think you have made a point, but you've done nothing more than make a fool of yourself. It takes a lot of courage to face up to the fact. Okay. Paragraph 37 finished. Paragraph 38. Are you ready? When my speech was over, I opened the session to questions. My first surprise was to see a room full of blank faces staring back at me. After so much preparation and so many hours rehearsing, I realized, me di cuenta, siempre con realize aquí, I realized that they didn't care much about what I had said. Okay, pobrecito. When the speech was over, I opened the session to questions. My first surprise was to see a room full of blank faces looking back at me, staring back at me. After so much preparation and so many hours rehearsing, I realized that they didn't care very much about what I had said. They didn't care much about what I had said. All right, in this case, I gave a speech the other day. Yeah, I gave a speech the other day. Pronuncié un discurso, o sea, o di una charla, una conferencia. All right, in front of a lot of people. And when I finished, I opened the session, la sesión, to preguntas. Any questions? And I saw a room full of blank faces. Blank es como un espacio en blanco. This is white, no es blanco, pero en blanco, blank, blank. I saw a room full of blank faces staring back at me. To stare is mirar muy fijamente. Okay, a ver. Let's have a staring contest, you and me. It's a staring contest. I'll stare at you and you stare at me. The first person to blink loses. ¿Has jugado eso alguna vez? Okay, it's a staring contest. I'll stare at you and you stare at me. And the first person to blink loses. All right? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, go. I blinked. All right. I lost. You won. This time you won. Next time I'm going to win. To stare. ¿Por qué me estás mirando tan fijamente? Why are you staring? Sí, escrito stare. Why are you staring at me? She's always staring at me. She makes me nervous. Okay, now, I gave the speech. I considered it a very good speech. And then I said, well, okay, all right, if you have any questions, feel free. Siéntanse libres para hacerme preguntas. Feel free. If you have any questions, please feel free. Yeah, I'm open to questions. Yeah, anything you want to ask. Yeah, you can ask about the color of my shirt. I don't care. Or you can ask about my pen. Yeah. Blank faces staring back at me. All right? So, when my speech was over, when I finished my speech, cuando mi discurso había acabado, when my speech was over, this class isn't over yet. This class is still in session. I haven't finished yet. This class isn't over yet. Don't go away. Don't leave yet. This class isn't over. Pero aquí, el speech estaba ya terminado. Así lo decimos. When my speech was over, I opened the session to questions. My first surprise was to see a room full of blank faces staring back at me. After so much preparation and so many hours of rehearsing, I realized that they didn't care much about what I had said. No les había importado demasiado lo que yo había dicho. No. Yes, all right. Yeah, after so much preparation, tanta preparación, and so many hours of rehearsing, bueno, rehearsal también, tantas horas de ensayar, ensayando delante de un espejo. Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here to talk to you again about the importance of listening comprehension. It's more important than oral reproduction. Now, and I spent 45 minutes talking about this and said, okay, very good. Any questions? And everybody was staring back at me. I saw a room full of blank faces staring back at me. And I realized, after so many hours of preparation and so many hours of rehearsing, to rehearse is ensayar una actuación. Ensayar productos is to test. Testar, o sea, to test. But, Marta, me dirás qué tal. Vamos a ensayar esto. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to class number 497. ¿Está bien? No? We need to continue rehearsing. Ready, Marta? Say, good evening, hello, and welcome again to a new English class. Class number 497. Tengo que ensayar un poco más. Yeah. She says I need to rehearse a little bit more. All right. It's not natural. Okay. So, to conclude, when my speech was over, I opened the session to questions. My first surprise was to see a room full of blank faces staring back at me. After so much preparation and so many hours of rehearsing, I realized that they didn't care much about what I had said. They didn't care. Les importaba poco o nada. They didn't care. I don't care, me da igual. Me importa un comino. I don't care. I don't give a damn. I don't care. And I realized that they didn't care much. Dice much, no? Yeah, they didn't care much about sobre lo que yo había dicho, about what I had said. Perfecto. They didn't care much about what I had said. Pobrecito Richard, right? My speech. They didn't care much. All right, speak up. Learn to speak up. All right, how much time, Marta? How much time do we have left? All right. Maybe we can finish well, we're on page 50, página 50. Page 50, list 21, countables and uncountables. Please, countables and uncountables. No. ¿Qué es contable y qué es no contable? Él has dicho que el dinero no es contable. No. No puedes contar el dinero. No puedes tengo 8 dineros en el bolsillo. Puedes contar euros, dólares, yenes. Okay. Drachma, but you can't count money. You can count dollars. Money's not countable. Yeah. How much money? No, how many monies? How many euros, etc. Countable, but realmente, normally, don't worry, forget the term countable and uncountable. Singular and plural, okay? Singular and plural. All right, no hay agua en el vaso. No hay agua en el vaso. There isn't any water. Claro, en español dices no hay agua. So, there isn't water in the glass is correct English, but it's abrupt, primitive English. Es abrupto y primitivo. No hay agua en el vaso. No, decimos no hay nada de agua. So, we qualify a little bit. There isn't any water in the glass. Hay agua en el vaso, que sí. There's some water. There's some water in the glass. Hay un perro en esta casa, eh? There's a dog. There's a dog in this house. No hay ningún perro en esta casa. There isn't a dog. Si dices there isn't any dog, aquí sí, no hay ningún perro en esta casa. Si dices there isn't any dog, estás diciendo no hay nada de perro en esta casa. O sea, no guardas perro en la nevera. Perro congelado. No. Eso convierte contable en incontable si pones any delante un singular. La única excepción es any problem. Any problem? Se debería decir any problems, que también es correcto, but you can say both. No hay ningún perro en esta casa. There isn't a dog in this house. There isn't a dog in this house. No hay perros. Ahora sí, no hay, pluralizando, sí. No hay perros en esta casa. There aren't any. There aren't. There aren't any dogs in this house. There aren't any dogs in this house. All right. ¿Tienes hijos? Do you have any children? Do you have any kids? Do you have any children? Estamos teniendo problemas. We're having some problems. Claro, estamos teniendo algunos problemas. We qualify. It's too abrupt and primitive to say, we're having problems. Oh, Dios mío, you're having problems. Yes, we're having some problems. No recibí cartas ayer. ¿Será posible? I didn't receive any letters yesterday. Yeah. Elvis Presley, he received 1,000 letters a day. When Elvis Presley became famous, he received 1,000 letters of fan mail, correo de fans, fan mail every day. And then one day, Elvis Presley's secretary said, by the way, Mr. Presley, we haven't received any letters today. He says, what? But we receive 1,000 letters every day. We haven't received any letters today. Any. Okay? We haven't received any letters today. No recibí cartas ayer. I didn't receive any letters yesterday, and I haven't received any letters today, and I won't receive any letters tomorrow. Okay. Nunca he recibido cartas. Nunca en mi vida. I've never received any letters. No hay gente allí. No hay gente allí. There aren't any people there or over there. Si es dentro de la habitación, over there in the corner, no hay gente ahí en el rincón. There aren't any people over there. Ahora bien, en el pueblo de Zorrito de los Canes, you say, there aren't any people there. Yes, pueblo abandonado, which is not true, by the way. I recommend you visit Zorrito de los Canes. Have you ever been to Zorrito de los Canes? No? Okay, it's in Guadalajara. All right. It's near Sayaton, okay? All right. She doesn't know where Sayaton is. Can you believe it? Marta doesn't know where Sayaton is. Sayaton is near Bolarque. You know where Bolarque is? Yeah. All right. It's the Transbaje Tajo Segura. It's near Pastrana. Almonacid. All right. La central nuclear de Zorita. All right. No hay gente ahí. There aren't any people there. Where? On Mars. How many people are there on Mars? In Marte. There aren't any people there. There's some robots now, but there aren't any people there. There aren't any. Sí, hay gente ahí. Yeah, there's some people there. Where? On Venus. Venusians, those Venusianos. Venusians. Yeah, there's some people on Venus. Really? There are some people on Venus. Yeah, there are some people. ¿Hay mujeres en la Marina? Are there any women in the Navy? In the Navy, no? Yeah. Are there any women in the Navy? Está con mayúscula en español y en minúscula en inglés. Okay. Hay mujeres en la Marina. Are there any women in the Navy? ¿Hay tigres en Rusia? Are there any tigers in Russia? Marta, are there any tigers in Russia? Do you know? Yes, the white tigers. The Siberian, beautiful Siberian tigers. Yes, there are quite a few tigers in Russia. ¿Hay correo para mí? ¿Hay correo para mí? Is there any mail for me? Is there any mail? Mail escrito como email. Is there any mail for me? Is there any mail for me? No ha habido incendios forestales este año. Huh. Hasta ahora we're in the winter still. No ha habido incendios forestales este año. Hasta ahora. There haven't been any forest fires this year so far. So far, there haven't been any forest fires. There haven't been any forest fires up to now or so far. Dame agua. Dame agua. Give me some water. Give me some water. Give me some water. Dame agua, por favor. Give me some water. No me des agua, por favor. Don't give me any water. Don't give me any water. Necesito sal. I need some salt. Necesito algo de sal. In French, it's, yeah, du sal, du sel. All right? Ponen, necesito del sal, es lo que dice. De la sal. Necesito de la sal. And so they add that. De l'eau. Un peu de l'eau. Un poco de agua. Un poco de el agua in French. I need some water. I need some salt. Hay manera. Oye, hay manera de convencerles. ¿Qué opinas? What's your opinion? What do you think? ¿Hay forma de convencerles o no? Is there any way? Is there any way? Aquí es singular, way. Is there any way to convince them? It's too late. I have to say goodbye. See you tomorrow.